Welcome back inside the MMA War Room alongside my co-hosts Sam Corcoran and Srikar Rajendran. I'm Chris Shroyer. And guys, we have some massive breaking news. I know it's pretty awesome. Dana White, this is Tuesday, July 22nd. Dana White got on live at about 6:30 and dropped some massive news for UFC 320 and 321. The UFC 320 main event in Las Vegas will be Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2. A very significant rematch, one that saw Pereira losing his undisputed light heavyweight championship and in a very close match. And we're going to see a very anticipated rematch, which I'm extremely happy about. And the co-main event will see Merab the Machine Dvalishvili taking on the number 4 contender Cory Sandhagen for the bantamweight belt. Another anticipated matchup. But I think the fight that we're really looking at right now is the featured bout on this card. Jiri Prochazka taking on Khalil Rountree. That is going to be pure violence at its finest. And for the UFC 321 main event in Abu Dhabi, this is the only fight that we have for this card booked so far. And per Dana White, we're going to see the newly crowned heavyweight king, Tom Aspinall, taking on Ciryl Gane. Honestly, another highly anticipated matchup that, Ciryl Gane might not or maybe should not have this matchup right now, but
he doesn't deserve it, but it's the only
there's no one else. So.
Exactly. Besides the point, it'll still be fireworks. A great match to headline in Abu Dhabi. So let's start with UFC 320 first. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira again. Sam, I'll start with you. Do you think that Pereira will learn from, his mistakes? Honestly, would you even call it mistakes? Do you think he will fight a better fight against the Russian kickboxer?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He has the time off. He's going to learn from his film. I bet he's already learned a lot since the fight. But same thing with Ankalaev. Ankalaev has also learned a lot from this fight. He's the champion. He is a dominant force in the UFC. I would not be surprised if he dominates this fight more. Not saying it's going to happen. Not saying that's my prediction. I think I'm going to wait until October to make a prediction because I think this fight is going to be very close. And I think, it was the fight that was expected. I'm glad it got made. And I'm glad that Jiri Prochazka is also getting a really good opportunity. There were questions, would he fight Magomed Ankalaev instead of Pereira, which I thought wasn't necessarily going to be the best option. I think one fight against Jamal Hill was not enough to get a title shot. And now you're proving it against probably the next best title contender in the division, Khalil Rountree. So I think you look at this light heavyweight picture. You have Ankalaev Pereira. The winner is going to fight the winner of Jiri Prochazka and Khalil Rountree. Then you set up a title fight between that and then another title eliminator that could come up later in the year, Carlos Ulberg and Dom Reyes, or maybe early next year. So light heavyweight's looking pretty loaded at the top. It's a good time to be a fan of this division.
Yeah, there were moments where I thought that the UFC were actually going to pivot to Ankalaev versus Jiri because Pereira has literally just been radio silent. He's posted some videos about what he's weighing in at, which is now 243 pounds. So that cut to 205 again will be interesting, but I think he'll get it done. For the main event, I don't necessarily think the first fight was domination at all. It
was not. That's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if Ankalaev learns and dominates even more.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll dominate even more. I feel like Pereira will fight a smarter fight than he did last time, and by smarter fight, be more aggressive. Actually throw when he has Ankalaev on the back foot instead of just trying to walk him down because he got caught in those situations multiple times, and all he had to do was throw a left hook. But to be fair to Ankalaev, he did a good job defending against it, so it wasn't there for him at all times. This fight, though, it should be interesting. It's a good main event for Vegas. I think fans will come in droves for this one. The co-main event, too, you look at Merab and Sandhagen. This is a very, very quick turnaround for Merab. He just fought in June, and now he's fighting again in October, trying to go for 3 title defenses in a year, which would be very impressive for a bantamweight champ. So big ups to Merab. I think he's going to get it done against Sandhagen. again, I don't see Sandhagen posing any threat to him.
The
or
UFC just
Gane.
gifted him Fighter of the Year with that fight because I also agree with that too. So I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to.
No, for sure. Like the only chance that Cory has is just throwing the kitchen sink at this guy in the first round and hoping for a finish, but he's not going to do that. Cory's way too technical to do that, so he's not going to. And Merab sadly just pieces up all these technical fighters, so I think it'll happen again. But that featured bout is crazy. Jiri, I thought would be fighting Carlos Ulberg. Same. And honestly, I'm not sure what Carlos Ulberg is doing in the aftermath of this. Probably a fight against Dom Reyes. Because I originally had a Jiri Ulberg and then Rountree Reyes. I remember we matchmake that after.
I had that too.
We all had that. And I just feel like this is delightful. Like Jiri and Rountree, like obviously Khalil Rountree is probably like one of my top 5 favorite fighters ever. One of the people that got me into the sport. And to see him go up against a literal marauder and Jiri, like this is going to be an extremely fun fight. Hopefully a fight of the night contender. We'll see if Rountree throws with a little more volume than he did against Jamal Hill, then yeah. But I think the biggest thing going into this fight is can Jiri defend the leg kicks of Khalil Rountree? I think the whole fight is going to come down to that because we've seen Jiri not being able to check leg kicks in the past, especially against Alexander Rakic in the first Pereira fight.
And Pereira ate him up.
So if you go up, Rountree's bread and butter is the leg kicks. It's what I was hoping he would do against Pereira when they last fought. But I'm really intrigued by all this. And look, the future implications are crazy, especially with the light heavyweight division coming off of this. Because, hey, I manifested this. I wanted to see Rountree and Pereira in a rematch. And if that does happen, just know I'm calling this on July 22nd, 2025. Like, he is going to beat Alex Pereira in a rematch. Like, I feel like if he implements the leg kicks a little bit more, like, obviously the gas tank is one thing, but I think he could find the finish before it even gets to the championship rounds. If he just follows the same, not the same game plan, but tweaks the game plan a little bit from his first fight in that, yes, you can throw clean up the middle, but if you implement the leg kicks and really throw Pereira off, like that's where you're going to really catch him clean. And I think he will. So I'm excited for UFC 320. I think it should be a whole lot of fun. And UFC 321, Aspinall Gane, we just talked about it. Gane was kind of like the only guy that could step up in this place, but I expect Tom to go out there, put on a show. And exciting announcements for sure.
And just before I let you go, Chris, 2 other rumored fights right now, not officially confirmed, but sources saying that they're out there. Abus Magomedov and Joe Pyfer in the middleweight division. And then Macy Chiasson and Yana Santos in the women's bantamweight division. So already shaping up to be a banger. 5 fights in the rankings, and we're nowhere near October 4th just yet. There's a lot more that could happen. This could easily be the card of the year when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, a lot of good fights to look forward to. And I'll like kind of work backwards from how you guys went. Like you guys went down the line. I'll start with Khalil Rountree and Jiri.
I like it.
First of all, for those in the know and who have been following UFC, maybe seen on like ESPN, MMA, things like that. Congrats to Jiri Prochazka for finishing school. That is awesome. Yeah, round of applause for him. We knew that he wasn't going to be fighting until he finished university. So it's always nice to see him. As soon as I heard Dana White say that on the live, I was like, oh, let's go. Jiri finished school. Good for him. That was my first thought. Probably not, the fight with Rountree, but yeah, I think that's a very interesting clash of styles. 2 very unorthodox fighters, to say the least. And I really want to see how Jiri fares with the leg kicks because he likes to put a lot of, weight on his lead leg. And that's exactly what Rountree looks for, whether it's, just an oblique kick or just a straight up thunderous, like chopping calf kick. Exactly. Yeah. It's just so hard and so unorthodox that you really can't train for that. I think Yuri's unorthodox nature will prove a little bit, hard for Rountree to deal with. I think it's just going to be pure violence at its finest, in my opinion. We are going to see. Honestly, I pray that it doesn't go to decision because I really don't see this going to decision. It's going to be amazing. And then, Merab versus Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen, one of my favorite fighters to keep track of and always follow since, the early days, him getting on the map with like the really big Frankie Edgar knee, the knockout. I was sad to see Frankie Edgar, get knocked out like that, who was also one of my favorite fighters growing up. And, Sandhagen's had a lot to deal with. I honestly was thinking that this has been a long time coming for him, because I really think that if he didn't tear his tricep after the Rob Font fight, which was a very dominant performance, a dominant wrestling performance with a torn tricep, which is extremely hard to do, I thought he was going to get a title shot after that. And, that's a brutal injury to come back from. That's like a 6 to 8 month injury. I might be lowballing that too. But this is a long time coming for him. And it's kind of sad that he has to run into a machine like Merab Dvalishvili. I really think that we're watching Merab come closer and closer, and he's really close to becoming the bantamweight GOAT. And he
already is the bantamweight GOAT.
I want to see a dominant performance over Sandhagen.
No one has a better resume than Merab.
He hasn't had as many title defenses as Aljo.
Yeah,
completed title defenses.
Yeah, but like title defenses kind of goes out the window when you compare it with the old era, because the old era, it was easier to get to the title. So
but
that's not was long.
That's not the old era. That was like 2 years.
And also style-wise, Merab probably has the most like distinctive and dominant skill set in bantamweight history. So
yes. Okay, but I wouldn't say it's the old era. Like Aljo just did that 2 years ago, and then
you're saying over Aljo? No, okay, but here's the thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. I had Aljo as my bantamweight GOAT, and
I think Merab's run is already more impressive than Aljo's.
Yes, but I want the number
that.
To solidify it. Like for him to be not officially, well, I guess officially, unofficially, the bantamweight GOAT. I want to see Merab take care of business against Sandhagen, which I think he will. I mean, the Sandhagen-Umar fight is, I think, a very good, baseline for this fight against Merab, because Sandhagen, no matter what he did against Umar, and Sandhagen actually, honestly, fought a perfect fight in that fight, in my opinion. Umar just completely outclassed him technically. And we saw what Merab did to Umar. It's like you said, Srikar, these technical fighters, it all just goes out the window as soon as you hit a cardio animal like Merab. He's going to actually just throw the entire kitchen sink at you and just keep full pressuring the entire 25 minutes, if it even gets that far. And I think that it'll be a very, very good fight. We might be in for a lot of wrestling, and for the casuals, that's not going to be what you guys want to see. But this might be a fight for you guys to join and appreciate, and really
you should
say it, Tim.
You should in general appreciate Merab. I think this guy is a superstar.
He is.
I don't really care what anyone says. I don't care if you don't strike. His energy, his cardio, the humor he brings, his personality just screams. I would say, I think, and this is going to be a flaming hot take, I think this is the best personality the UFC has seen since Conor McGregor on their roster.
No.
Just with the humor. It's what the UFC... I mean, it's not much... I get it.
Personality-wise, y'all will hate me. Pereira's personality actually sold more than Merab's did, because Pereira was literally a stone face. Like, he sold off of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Merab, I love his energy, but Conor energy was different, bro. Like Conor's whole personality and all that, all the trash talking. Merab cannot live up to that.
We could have a whole other debate about this, but I think if you want energy, if you want humor, if you want trash talking, then you go for Merab. I think that's why that. I think McGregor's a good comparison.
You know what, Sam? You were right. That was a flaming hot take. They might have just scorched me. Scorch Sam. If you guys don't know Sam, his nickname is Scorch. So that was a scorching hot take by Scorch.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I mean, look, Merab's a great personality. He attracts the fans. You want to watch him. He's a fun guy. Does some very funny things. I don't know about that, but you know what? Maybe all right, look, now we're setting up different podcasts in the future. Who is the best personality?
No. We're setting up the debate we have right now. Wait,
okay, all right.
I'm trying to
personally,
think.
you want me to be
Probably,
honest? Like, I mean, I think Patty's like a way better personality.
even I was about to, like, Paddy Pimblett is a bigger personality than
Patty
Merab.
is. Patty's big, but it's like Patty's big, but he doesn't have much to back it up when Merab does, is what I'm saying.
I mean, Patty's never got the opportunity.
But if it's about the personality,
If
then
Patty
you
does
only
get the
back that up
opportunity.
by sales and who's like, bigger. And
I guess
honestly,
I don't know.
at this moment,
I will say I'm more of a Merab fan than a Patty fan. That's not against Patty. I do like Patty, but Merab is just like, he's my humor. He gets it. He and I get each other. We'll put it that way. And I also love just seeing him win.
And that's why he's the biggest personality since Connor, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
It's all opinionated, man.
You're right. That's why we're in the war room to debate this stuff. But just quickly, so maybe we can move on to what we were really. Srikar, he might be more of a fan favorite than Merab, but like, that's a.
I feel like Pereira is more of a fan favorite.
He is a bigger star than Merab, and he still is. And that actually brings me to a good point
he
because
can just knock people out. Merab.
All right, I just reopened the can of worms. You got it, Srikar.
Well, I was about to say, like, you actually, we're gonna bring up a good point here because even beyond Pereira doing what he did for the company and fighting all these fights on short notice and you lose after 3-4 title defenses and then you get an immediate rematch. I think it's also about how good this is for the company. Like, I feel like Pereira versus Olberg is absolutely blasphemous, bro. Like, what if I'm the UFC matchmakers and I'm looking at that and I have the star of the company in my hands? Why am I trying to fight Olberg? Like, it wouldn't make any sense from like how much money can this make me? They're gonna put him back in a title fight.
I saw that Ankalaev should be fighting Olberg next, and
that's just posturing. Then I guess.
No, I mean, honestly, it's the same thing. Like, first of all, they had a good fight in their last time around, and Pereira has pretty much carried that division at the top for the past 2 years.
What that reminds me of, actually, Ankalaev calling out Olberg reminds me of when people said Topuria was ducking Max before their fight because he called out Brian Ortega. And he said, "Oh yeah, of all the guys in this division, I think Brian Ortega. He's always active. He's ready to go. He won his last fight." I'm like, bro, come on, bro. Like, you're fighting Max all the way.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes they'll just do that for posturing reasons,
100%. But just a little more on the Pereira Ankalaev fight. I think that it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be an even better fight than the first rendition of it. I think we're going to see a smarter Pereira. I think he kind of took Ankalaev a little too lightly, in my opinion. Almost like the same way he did with Rountree. He had such a big buildup, and he was honestly just pretty much killing everyone. He beat Jiri twice. All right, he beat Izzy, but that was in middleweight. Beat Izzy again at middleweight. Then beat Jiri, knocked out Jamal Hill, knocked out Jiri again. Well, he actually knocked out Jiri the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're like kind of just running through people and honestly just straight up steamrolling people, you kind of get a little bit complacent. And I think that's what we saw with Pereira. And he clutched up against Khalil Rountree, which is a fight that Rountree 1000% should have won. And it really wasn't Khalil's fault. It was just kind of Pereira just took the pot from
the better fighter, but matchup wise, it was his hardest.
Yes, exactly. Pereira just kind of took the kettle from the back burner and put it on the front burner, and then it really started heating up. And I think that he kind of did the same thing with Ankalaev. He kind of just was looking straight past him. And I think that he's not going to do that this time. And Stam, you mentioned it. I think Ankalaev is going to fight a smarter fight too, even though he actually fought the perfect fight. I was actually pulling up the stats from that fight just because I wanted to refresh myself. Pereira landed 48 of 55 leg kicks. Ankalaev 28 of 29. But I think the difference in this was Ankalaev shot 12 takedowns. He did not land a single one, but he had 5 minutes and 42 seconds of control time. And I really think that started to wear on Pereira because no one has done that to him at all. And when you start wrestling, it's very, obviously, it's very energy consuming. And especially if you're not, even if you're defending the takedowns, it's still, you know, in the back of your head that, oh my God, he might be able to shoot. So it made Pereira a little bit hesitant to really go for the kill shot that he's so good at. So I think we're going to see a smarter fight from both fighters. And obviously, when it gets closer to the fight, like always, we will have our predictions for you guys. And I think that'll be a very, very heated YouTube video. I think there's going to be some parody.
I mean, it's interesting you bring that point up about the wrestling making him hesitant, because I think that is part of it. But also Pereira's been in fights like that before. Like Jan Blachowicz tried to wrestle him, and he actually succeeded. Like he did well with it. Yeah,
he did.
His first fight against Andreas Michailidis, like he wrestled him in the first round before getting the flying knee to the face in the second round. But
yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, he should have known. I don't want to say he should have known better, because you go in the octagon and you pretty much know what you're in for. But
I think that's where the complacency kind of came in, of just like, he was like, I'm the man. Like, I know I can knock you out. And Ankalaev's a great kickboxer. I mean, he's a Sambo fighter. So he really showcased every skill in Sambo that is used. So I think we'll see a different game plan from both fighters. For Ankalaev, it might be more of the same because he did fight a great fight. But I'm very excited to see it. But I think we should dive just a little bit more into UFC 321 now in Abu Dhabi. Aspinall versus Gane. You know, we had the whole John Jones Aspinall saga, the best fight that never was. That's what I've been calling it, and I think that's honestly the way that that it should be described. And you know, we're not talking about John Jones right now. Obviously, this is all about Tom Aspinall. He's deserved that fully. He's the rightful king of heavyweight now. He was honestly the rightful king, while John Jones had the belt.
He's been the rightful king for the
long time. So I think Gane poses, you know, a little bit of an interesting threat to Aspinall. I don't really, not off the top of my head, no one that Aspinall has fought is as good and efficient of a kickboxer as Ciryl Gane. And I think that, you know, look, it's been proven against Gane. You want to win the fight against him, just like for sure, like undoubtedly, Aspinall takes it to the ground, and it's submission time, baby. That's it. I think that's really the surefire way to.
I also got Aspinall by submission,
which would be crazy. I mean, he's usually a knockout artist, obviously, but
and he can knock him out. I'm not saying that, but you know.
But he has incredible jiu-jitsu. Like, incredible jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to mention.
He's such an underrated fighter. And I'm so glad we get to see this unleashed, because I think obviously we know who Tom Aspinall is.
Oh, 1,000.
He hasn't fought in a legit title fight, though. That's the thing. It's been interim fight against Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades. Two guys.
No, I'm not going to lie. The rematch against Blades was an undisputed title fight.
It basically was, yes.
It was. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but still,
now this is like the real, this feels like the real deal now.
Right.
And I think
his first main event.
First main event. That's the big thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is Ciryl Gane deserving of this? I mean, I still think that Volkov got absolutely robbed in that fight back in December.
That's why I prefaced.
Yeah, nothing you can do about it, though.
Should it be Gane? But
it is rumored that Volkov is fighting Gelton Almeida at that fight. So the UFC is having a little pattern. It's confirmed now.
Mm-hmm.
Did the UFC confirm it?
I mean, it's been confirmed. I trust Marcel more than anyone. So
perfect. Yeah,
Marcel Dorf.
There you go. So that fight is that fight's gonna happen there. We'll say that, and then there's been a trend. Look, we talked about it earlier. We were all texting about this earlier today. Back in 317, title eliminator for flyweight, title fight for flyweight. 320, title eliminator for light heavyweight, title fight for light heavyweight. Now at 321, title eliminator for heavyweight, title fight at heavyweight. So I like what the UFC is doing. I think I'll close to quote my good friend Charles Barkley. 2 words: Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane must see TV.
I do hope though.
Sam.
I do hope that, because just like those other 2 scenarios you mentioned with 317 and now with 320, I hope Volkov Almeida is not the feature bout of this pay-per-view.
I don't think it will.
Too.
I hope it opens the card, ideally.
Oh, sorry, no. I thought you meant co-main for a sec. I actually do believe that the feature bout should be Volkov Almeida.
I strongly disagree.
How come?
Strongly disagree. You can get Arman and Gaethje on that card. You can get Umar on that card, and you can Volkov and Almeida is not like
if they get those stars, then absolutely yes. And I think this could be a 2 title fight card too.
It's an Abu Dhabi card, so you have to stack it. And I feel like Volkov and Almeida is not like,
with how few title fights they've had this year recently, they're gonna have a second title fight on there. So I guess that would make sense. Dare I say feature prelim? That would be crazy. I don't think they'll do that.
No. It could be if they really stack it. But another fight
that would be like a UFC 300 level where Jiri Prochazka
Sam, you quoted Charles Barkley. I'm quoting Stephen A. That would be blasphemous.
Another fight that actually got confirmed for that Abu Dhabi card, though. Azamat Murzakanov is fighting Alexander Rakic. That could be
like that one
headliner.
I
really hope they just stack this, man. Like, I don't know what the second title fight will be, but
it would probably be Shevchenko Silva, maybe, or Zhang Weili and Yonderoba. I don't know. But on that note of the Rakic fight, I had that prediction with Rakic fighting Murzakanov. I like that fight.
I could see it being a women's fight, though. Not Nunes Harrison. That's going to headline its own pay-per-view.
You know what I'd do? I would save Shevchenko and Weili, and I'd save Harrison and Nunes and just have them headline pay-per-views in January and February, because those are really hard months to book.
So I was thinking about it because I'm from New York. Obviously the MSG card happens every year. It's one of the biggest cards of the year. It's a huge event. I think that JDM versus Islam is happening at MSG. And
sounds like it.
Ali Abdelaziz kind of maybe spoiled that a little bit. He was like, this fight's going to take place in one of the biggest arenas. And I mean, maybe this is just me being biased.
You can't necessarily trust that always, because Dricus Duplessis said the co-main for 319, which hasn't been announced yet, so it still could be true, was Gaethje Pimlet.
That is true, but
they
also
both denied that. So
yeah, but also I feel like it's different coming from a manager and one of the best managers in the game at that. And look, MSG has to have a huge main event. And if you're gonna do it, I think it's gonna be JDM Islam, my opinion. But I was thinking, you know what, they always like to do a women's fight on that card too, women's championship. So I could see Shevchenko versus Silva, or a Zhang Weili versus Yonderoba.
Zhang Weili hasn't fought since February, which says she's
she's always inactive. That's the thing. Like she's
a
lot of time off. Okay. Here's a scenario for y'all. I mentioned January and February, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if in January you did a pay-per-view in China, you headline it with Zhang and Valentina, and then just stack that card. Like you can do Merab. You can do Merab in the co-main against like a Song Yadong, against a Petr Yan. Because if Yadong, I feel like Umar and Song Yadong are going to fight like pretty soon. So I feel like if Song Yadong beats Umar, there's your title shot. And
Jiangmin Yang's another name too, just to throw that out there.
Yeah, Jiangmin Yang fighting a top 10 light heavyweight. Petr Yan, he's basically ready if he wins this weekend. Maybe bring the leech back, Li Jingliang. You could put Yan Xiaonan in a big spot there. Maybe even add Izzy if you want extra firepower, because he's technically Chinese or he represents China. I mean, I don't know, but dude, that is a monster card right there. You know what I mean? Like, and before, like, I know I mentioned the bantamweights. I still think Merab would co-main that, because Zhang Weili should be able to headline a super fight in China. I feel like that just makes way more sense.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
And for Nunes and Harrison, honestly, February pay-per-view, put it in Brazil. Like,
No, absolutely not.
Ooh, that got
no.
scorched riled up.
Absolutely
Co-headline it with Pantoja Van. Throw in Poatan if he loses to Ankalaev. Maybe Oliveira Holloway for the BMF belt. Just maybe Fighting Nerds if they want to be on that. Like that's another pay-per-view banger where you can stack the card like crazy.
Last note quickly. Kayla Harrison should defend in the United States. This is her chance to defend. Amanda Nunes is also beloved in the United States.
I'm sorry, bro, but Amanda Nunes, it's Amanda Nunes. Like, if she's coming back,
Harrison though,
Nunes is the bigger name.
All I'm saying is, I don't know where they're gonna fight. That is gonna be the biggest women's MMA fight in all of history. And just a quick note, I don't know if you saw Kayla Harrison get asked about Nunes being in the testing pool, but she said, "I don't even care. You don't even have to test her. Just send her my way." And that is quite a statement.
She wants it.
Because, yeah, she wants it. And the thing is, I think she'll fight her anywhere. And speaking of someone that will fight anyone, anytime, anywhere, Max Blessed Holloway sadly ripped the storybook ending out of Dustin the Diamond Poirier's storybook this past Saturday to retain the BMF belt. And there's been a lot of questions about, what Max is going to do next, what the BMF belt is going to do next, or who Max is going to fight next. And we talked about it in our recap that was honestly just posted. So when you're watching this video, if you want to hear all of our thoughts and analysis on what happened at 318, just go check out that video. It was a very good conversation. And we kind of left off on this note of what is going to happen with the BMF belt. Or, we already talked about who Max could fight. And, I mean, do you guys want to reopen that conversation of who Max is going to fight?
Yeah.
Srikar and I had the consensus of Max versus Oliveira, and Sam thinks that it should be Max versus Ilya.
So yeah. Again, for context, there is no fighter booked in the top 15 of the lightweight division. I think the contenders for that title, they're 4: Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett, Max Holloway. I think out of all of them, the best person in the division right now, considering that the UFC hates Arman Tsarukyan, is Max Holloway. I think you just give him the title shot right now. I do think once something is booked, though, then you can change it. If the UFC books a title eliminator, maybe for that 319 co-main or Srikar, like you were saying, Arman versus Gaethje at UFC 321, Max Holloway should fight Charles Oliveira. So, again, I don't hate the Oliveira pick. I just think with so many question marks right now, if I had to pick one person, I would go Ilya Topuria. So here's my thing with the BMF belt, and I just don't. If you keep it at one, like the one thing I don't like about this for Max Holloway is I want him to fight. The reason I want him to fight Ilya is he just screams BMF more than an Arman Tsarukyan, and you don't want to see like a Justin Gaethje rematch. Paddy Pimblett, I don't think works either. That's why I'm going for Ilya Topuria. Give him the title shot right now, not a title eliminator. So my big question is, what do you do with the BMF belt? Does Max Holloway fight someone who
you should keep it on the man who's the BMF?
So I mean,
but do you want to give that to somebody who's not the BMF?
Dude, I'm sorry. Charles Oliveira is one bad MFer, bro.
That is the guy that deserves it.
I don't think he's one away from a title fight, though. That's why I have.
Here's my thing.
Warrant a title fight, in my opinion.
I think if you beat Max Holloway, it absolutely does. He's one. This is the best Max Holloway version we've seen in his career.
Well, here's my thing, man. I do not think the UFC should be managing and matchmaking Holloway like a regular top contender, because they have a completely different situation on their hands with him. Because Max is a generational talent, obviously, who not only has the skills to hang with every lightweight in the division, including Topuria, but he's also all about putting on the kind of fights that fans cannot stop talking about. You know what I mean? Like, Max is the most fitting BMF champ the UFC has ever had. And
Without
he is
a
that
doubt, and I'm
rare
not
guy.
disagreeing with that.
He is the rare guy who can deliver banger after banger after banger and actually like win them. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like the lightweight title picture right now is weird, but I don't think it's so weird to the point where we need to rush Max back in with Ilya. You know what I mean? Especially when he's just one fight removed from being knocked out cold. Because like Taporia's got Sarukian, he's got Gaethje, he's got even Paddy Pimblett as potential next steps. Between those three, we've talked about it before. One of them gets the title shot. The other two fight in a title eliminator. Honestly, you could swap them around and it still makes sense. That alone keeps Ilya busy for at least like a couple fight cycles, probably through late 2026. So Max, in the meantime, I feel like there's two perfect BMF matchups that are literally just there for him. Charles Oliveira, obviously, like still everyone loves Charles Oliveira. He wants to get in there before the end of the year. You can make that happen. But also, we kind of brought up this name like a little bit last time, but I want to delve on it more. Dan Hooker, like this guy he's on a win streak. He's coming off a win streak, rehabbing an injury. He was just lined up with Justin Gaethje, who in all of your both of your eyes is challenging for the title. Max doesn't have forever left. Like that's my thing, but he's got a lot of time to at least go on this BMF run and have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that might be the best possible lane for him right now. So I don't feel like the UFC should be looking at Max and be like, okay, this is just another contender for Ilya. Make something out of it. Like he is the BMF. Like you think of BMF, I think of Max Holloway. And I feel like for every fan to recognize that, make good on that. You know what I mean? Like you have to make good on what you have with probably the most valuable BMF you've had since you introduced the belt.
Yeah, I just think it's way too soon to start, like recycling opponents for Ilya. I mean,
I agree with that too.
If we're talking about deserving,
there's no one that makes sense for me.
If we're talking about deserving, like, look, I'm not taking anything away from Max Holloway and what he just did. Is he deserving after he got knocked out by Ilya? Like, Ilya already proved that I can beat you. Now it's just he's in a different weight class, so we can't act like it's like that just didn't happen. Like, Ilya has a whole line of contenders that he needs to fight, in my opinion. And in no order at all. Gaethje, Sarukian, I want to see him fight Paddy Pimblett before he honestly fights Max Holloway again. I think that I feel like you have to clear out a whole division before you start recycling. Like things that we saw with like Adesanya, Usman, Volkanovski even. Like just absolutely, it's like, all right, I literally have no one else to fight, so I'm going to fight you again. And like Max, I'm not saying Max is not deserving because, dude, he is awesome. You're right, Sam.
He's one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Oh, 100%. And, I saw something today and I was like, you know what? I agree. And this is a whole different conversation that we can have. I could honestly put Max Holloway over Khabib in my GOAT rankings. I really could. And that's a whole different conversation to have. And if we're talking about, it's like we said with Merab.
Well, I think I can too.
Yeah, it's like we said with Merab. I said Aljo could be the bantamweight GOAT, and then and you know what? And that was off a number standpoint of defenses. And both of you said, but you know what? Merab did more because of the people who he's beat.
Compare this is why GOAT lists are so stupid.
Exactly, but also like
because if Khabib and Holloway actually fought at lightweight, I'd probably pick Khabib.
Oh, I probably would too. But you know what? But if we're talking about who they beat and when they beat them, bro, just compare Khabib's resume and Max's resume. Dude, Max's resume is actually like unfathomably crazy. But this is another. So I'm just gonna go back to the BMF and then Srikar. You can jump back in on this.
Yeah.
I like, dude. If we're talking about BMF, you don't think that the guy who has the most finishes in UFC history,
literally the most bonuses
BMF,
in UFC
could be
history.
the BMF? He has 20 finishes in his. Let me see how many fights.
It's an insane resume, and he is. And you know what? By the way, like this is by far and away the BMF of the UFC. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think my question is though, insane. So here's my question with BMF, and Max Holloway is proven that there's a BMF. I think right now, It's not a question, actually. It's a take on the BMF. I think right now the BMF is in a place where it can't really grow and it has so much room for growth.
I strongly disagree because Max Holloway is the guy that can actually make the belt grow.
So, okay, so
my problem.
Let me finish real quick because I think you can do a BMF of the lightweight division, Max Holloway. I think you do BMF of another division too, and that doesn't necessarily need to be.
But then it loses its significance.
It does lose. Yeah. So like, this is what I'm trying to answer. Like, what should the UFC do with the BMF belt? Because I think right now, I feel like if Max Holloway is fighting another fight coming up, it has to be for a BMF belt. And that's why, that's why I matchmaked him with Ilia Topuria, not Charles Oliveira, because I think he has to fight.
I know that Ilia just knocked him out, but like, Charles Oliveira deserves to fight for the BMF belt more than Ilia Topuria does at this stage in both of their careers.
And I agree with that. But to that point, what is Max Holloway going to do when it gets presented a title fight? Like, is he just going to say, "Oh, I have to drop the BMF belt"? He obviously
that's why I wouldn't present him. Ilia make more sense than BMF with Oliveira? That's my big question.
My whole point is you're missing the point completely right here, Srikar, because my whole thing is I've said it a lot. I don't think that Oliveira is one fight away from a title fight, whereas Max Holloway does. Max Holloway is one away. And there's so much uncertainty in the UFC lightweight division, I think Ilia Topuria makes more sense than the other contenders who I think are closer than Charles Oliveira to a title fight: Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, and Paddy Pimblett. Once we get answers, if there is a title eliminator, if Dana White announced a title eliminator today for the UFC, for the lightweight division, immediately put Max Holloway with Charles Oliveira. No answers right now, though.
Side question: If it's not Holloway, who do you think Oliveira should fight then? If he's supposedly not one away,
now I have him fighting the winner of Gamrot and Fiziev. I think those two should fight, and I think the winner gets Charles Oliveira, because those two are going to be closer too.
So,
yeah. I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about that.
Wait. So, so winner of a potential.
So I think right now on my matchmaking sheet, I have a whole sheet for matchmaking. I think Mateusz Gamrot should fight Rafael Fiziev. I think that's a perfect matchup. Fiziev would get his revenge against Gamrot, who he went down, suffered that brutal injury.
No. I have nothing with Gamrot and Fiziev. So the winner of that fight versus Oliveira is here.
That's what I have right now. Yes.
I have a counter question almost.
Let's hear it.
What makes you think that Max deserves another title shot with someone that legit just knocked him out?
Because I think he's, first of all, two things. First of all, I think I need to backtrack a little bit. First of all, I think Max Holloway, this version right now, lightweight version Max Holloway we're seeing right now, the run he's on, is the best version of Max Holloway we've seen in his career. Do I want him to fight Ilia right now?
This is also the best version of Ilia we've ever seen.
Wait, can I have a counter argument?
No.
Max is
no. Sorry, let me finish. I'm answering your question.
Two fights at lightweight.
I'm answering your question. That's related to the question.
Okay.
I think, and again, this goes back to making answers. Like, we need answers in the lightweight division. I honestly, you know what? I honestly just should not have made Max Holloway, because I know this is just confusing the hell out of the audience. Because right now,
no, it's not
you're low-key confusing the hell out of me.
So right now, okay, so like I said, there are 4 contenders.
No, it's not confusing. Division. He just thinks Oliveira should fight down, basically.
Yes, I basically think Oliveira should fight down and fight someone like a little further down than Holloway. That's basically, so Srikar's spot on with that. Okay. As for Max and Ilya, I think of all the 4 contenders I've listed, I think all of them need one more fight to fight right now. But then who does Ilya Topuria fight next? I'm just matchmaking based on what I think is going on, and we need answers
fighting Paddy next, because that's where all
like this entire ramble I'm going on about Max Holloway fighting Ilya Topuria. All of this will not matter once there is a title eliminator fight set up in the lightweight division, to put it frankly.
So even if they do Ilya versus Paddy, and assuming Armen Gaethje is the title eliminator, Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway are 3 and 4 in the
I
ring.
was just going to say, if you want Max to fight up, that's perfect, because Charles is 1 ranking ahead.
Charles is really 1 rank above him.
So again, if you give Ilya a title fight, that basically rules the question. We need answers in this division. You guys are missing that point. We need answers in this division. If you put Paddy and Ilya, or whoever and Ilya together, not Max Holloway, good. Do it. Max Holloway's fighting Charles Oliveira next. Easy. I think that honestly works out better in the long run. But the whole thing is just the lightweight division is so messed up right now that we need to figure out who is fighting who. Once the UFC gets answers.
It's not as messed up as I think you're thinking, though.
No,
I feel like it goes back to my point of how can you recycle Max back into the loop? We already got that answer.
I don't think he needs. I think he needs to do more as well. I honestly, you know what? I'm just gonna make this simple, because I think the point. I think you guys are thinking about this too deeply. I'm gonna go back. My prediction for Max Holloway, my matchmaking for Max Holloway is wait and see. There are 4 guys. If you want to, there are 5 guys he can realistically.
Max he's not like a wait and see type guy, though. Max,
I don't know. I feel like all right, this is how I feel like I see where you're coming from. You see, Max has the BMF belt.
I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this from a title perspective, because at the end of the day,
I know, but honestly, I feel like you have to get that out of your head, because it's that the BMF, the Charles and Max fight, whoever wins is not automatically warranting a title shot, in my opinion. And if it did, the BMF would be in a different place right now. And how I'm looking at it is, look, yes, I think Max at lightweight is awesome. He's also only fought 2 fights at lightweight. He beat the number 1 contender, don't get me wrong. But he dropped back down to fight Ilya Topuria, who knocked him out. I can't, put him back in that same situation when we literally saw the result last year. It's we're not 3 years removed from it.
Also, our vision.
I'm also saying that I think Max Holloway does need to do more. I'm going to take back my entire fight prediction right now, my fight prediction right now. Literally, just scrap everything I have for lightweight, because I think you guys are getting too wrapped up in your head.
Well, I think our vision is really clouded, because when Holloway fought Gaethje and that knockout happened, everyone's like, okay, yeah, give him a title shot, because he did something that warranted okay, you get whatever you want. And he had also just knocked out TKZ at featherweight, so he had a claim, an actual mandate to a title shot. Now, I'm not saying if he beats Oliveira, he probably gets a title shot. That would be an impressive win. But I think it does more for Max than it does for Charles. Because if Charles beats Max, he's not getting vaulted back into the title shot, especially because he got first round knocked out. He got knocked out in the first round. Holloway actually put up a fight against Ilya. You know what I mean?
And that's what I don't want to happen. I feel like sometimes the UFC does have a tendency of doing that. And that's also kind of why I want to see Max Holloway not fight Oliveira. But if the UFC is contingent that Charles Oliveira also needs to prove more, even if he wins, then I'm for it.
I'm just trying to, I don't know. I feel like when I think of the BMF, yes, obviously Ilya Topuria, insane. Best 3-fight run quite literally ever.
Yeah.
I just think that.
And he also Charles BMF. That's also kind of why I'm putting that.
No, 100%. But at the same time,
But also,
Ilya
we got to
needs
think about it.
He needs to fight new blood. Like, if we just keep recycling, like, you can't just put these other guys on the shelf.
And yeah, no, like I said, I do think that he needs to recycle opponents. I agree with that completely.
No, he doesn't need to recycle opponents. He is not at the point.
He doesn't.
Yeah, okay, all right, good.
I agree with your point completely.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely.
Mhm.
And again, the whole thing with this Max Ilya prediction is because out of those three, I think he deserves. I don't think he deserves it the most, but I think everyone needs to prove something, and I think, considering the UFC hates Arman Tsarukyan right now, and they're saying, oh, he needs to prove something, then out of Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett, the person that needs to prove the least is Max Holloway. And that's why
I would give Holloway a title shot if Ilya vacates and moves up to 170 to fight.
I'll give a flaming hot take. I think right now, honestly, Arman Tsarukyan deserves the title shot over Max Holloway.
That's what I just said. I just said that. I said because the UFC hates Arman Tsarukyan.
He did. Yeah.
I completely agree that Arman Tsarukyan should get the next title shot. But obviously the UFC does not see it that way because of what happened at 311. Sorry, Srikar, what were you saying at about 170?
I was going to say, like, we got to see it in terms of, like, fight cycles. That's the way I'm thinking about this, because Paddy and whoever wins between Arman and Gaethje will have Ilya pretty much good until, like, fall 2026, winter 2026, and which at that point, like, what if Islam is ready? What if they decide to do Islam and Ilya?
His name.
Yeah, that's a whole other person.
If the title becomes vacant, this is why Max needs to keep fighting. He can't just sit and wait until late 2026. Fight Oliveira or Hooker. Fight Oliveira and or Hooker, and you've set yourself up for a literal vacant lightweight title shot. Like, and there will be no questions asked about it.
And that's even if Ilya moves up to 170, which the UFC did not seem too happy about. But look, honestly, my opinion, let him chase history. If he wants to be the first 3-division champion ever, he is the guy to do it.
He's got to be at least, I would say he's got to be at least 2 people lightweight with how stacked it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't know. It's just like the UFC, you know what? Yo, we should. Let's get Dana White on here and ask him about.
I don't think Dana would hesitate with Ilya. You know what I mean? Like, if they gave Conor that sort of privilege, where you can literally fight for a second belt without even defending your featherweight title, if Ilya defends against Paddy, he can move up. People are gonna hate that, but it's just how the UFC operates. Like, because they're just building his star more. They're just building him up.
I think they want him to go through the lightweight cycle, though, because there's so many people waiting that when you do that, it literally just puts a halt to the whole rest of the line.
Oh, yeah. In a perfect world, he fights winner of Arman Gaethje, Paddy, and then thinks about moving up.
And this is like right now, and that's my whole thing. Like, the world is not perfect.
Yeah, we're not in a perfect world.
Yeah, we're not in a perfect world with the lightweight division right now. Once we get matchups, we'll be good. But back to the BMF conversation. Do you think somebody made the suggestion about having like a ranking for BMF and they meet at one weight?
No. We don't need that.
Didn't Max Holloway say that?
I feel like that just complicates so many things. Like,
so, and my whole question was like, look, how do you quantify the BMF to
like a BMF
one division? But at the same time, when you really look at it, technically, it started in the welterweight division and somehow worked its way back down to lightweight. But historically, the lightweight division, and within the past, I'd say like 5 to 6 years, has been the strongest division in the UFC. And like literally top to bottom in the rankings, straight dogs, absolute warriors. So I think that it's fine that it stays there. I kind of want it to go to another division. I don't know when, though, because I want it to almost be like retired from a division. So like whoever has it at the end of the day, let's say like if Dustin won, and obviously I wanted Dustin to win because of our prediction.
Because then that would have been and that also
it kind of would have just like retired the BMF belt from lightweight and gave it a chance to go somewhere else. And I realistically think that's the only way that you can move.
But where would it have gone? Like, I feel like The fact that
I
Max
honestly don't
won
know.
was way better because he now like you've got a guy that you can model the BMF around.
No, you're right. Like he is the perfect BMF. Don't get me wrong, and that's why I kind of want him to fight Charles, because Charles is also like the perfect BMF. Like dude actually has zero game plan when he goes out there. He's just like, I'm gonna go out there and kill, and if I get killed in the process, so be it. And that's
like back to the like where would it go? Like assume Poirier like won and retired with the BMF.
I really don't.
The ones I suggested was if
I think
if
maybe
Robert
light
Whittaker
heavyweight.
won
Middleweight or light heavyweight. I want to see it at a bigger division, because
Jiri Rountree would have been such a good BMF fight.
I know, and
dude, I was thinking they put Izzy in a BMF fight.
Izzy's gotta win another one.
I would.
He doesn't have to though. Like,
but it's just like so weird because it's like when you look at the history of the BMF and all the BMF belts, like Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, the inaugural BMF like championship fight. Like, I mean, I think Jorge Masvidal is a BMF. Like he's a dog too. Was he the first person that I would think of to put in that fight? No, but he introduced it. Nate Diaz is a BMF. Like when you look at these guys, you need almost a casual fan to really not know. Like they just need to know these fighters. And is a casual fan really going to know Khalil Rountree or Jiri Prochazka if they're not like, and I'm not saying like casual fan, because a casual fan knows them, like a straight up casual. So many people know Nate Diaz. They're just like, yo, Stockton, California, Stockton slab dude just smokes J's everywhere. The Diaz brothers are icons of the sport. And that's why it's so hard to choose, because it's like Ilya is earning that title of he's getting to be insanely popular, where if you made him the BMF, everyone knows who Ilya Topuria is right now. Yeah. And I think the same thing with Charles Oliveira. It's just so hard because you have to be careful to like put that title on someone that other people are like, they can look at that and be like, but that's not Nate Diaz, that's not Jorge Masvidal. Like Leon Edwards would have been the BMF at one point.
That's what I'm saying. The other side of it is I don't want BMF on the line in title fights. Like I feel like it should be its own separate like entity.
So you have to earn it so much, in my opinion.
I disagree. If the title, if I like an Ilya fight, I think that would be perfect for BMF. That's also why a match made that. But
then Ilya would literally have to vacate BMF because like you can't. I feel like you should not be able to defend.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine if Ilya wins and he vacates BMF, like he beats the BMF, like the undisputed BMF of the UFC. He beats him again. That screams BMF, and then you can just have that belt and then make a new one or something, or just move it on to a different division.
UFC fighters are chumps, but everyone knows Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. And it's just like look, there's a reason that the BMF belt has been on the line 4 times.
Yeah.
That's and it's the age-old question of who really deserves it. And we kind of talked about it a little bit before. It's really just got to be a very well-known vet that has grinded their entire career and put on for the company, and they have to be a fan favorite. And it's beyond fan favorite. They got to be popular. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the future with this BMF belt, whether it goes to another division, how long it stays around Max Holloway's waist. If we ever see it put up simultaneously with a championship, I think personally that'd be awesome to see, but then it kind of limits the routes that the UFC can go down in terms of headliners and things like that. But I think that'll do it here in the MMA War Room. That was a very good conversation. That was a little bit of a heated conversation, but you know what? We call it the War Room for a reason. This is for flaming hot, scorching hot takes. We love it over here. And yeah, I think that'll do it. We will be back later this week on Friday with our predictions for UFC Fight Night in Abu Dhabi, headlined by the man, Robert the Reaper Whitaker. Oh, excuse me, Robert Whitaker. That was almost
You almost got them confused.
Yeah, I did. And then Rainier the Ritter.
Yeah, the Ritter.
Sorry, it's a little late over here, but yeah, it'll be awesome. We will have our full analysis and predictions for you guys posted on Friday. As for the socials, you guys see them in the bottom right corner of the screen. Go make sure to follow all those and stay up to date with everything UFC. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're always looking for that. So that'll do it for Sam, Srikar, and I. Hope you guys have a blessed night.